What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and it's that time of the year, fellas. We're starting to flip the page from seasonal content to Dynasty content. I know a lot of you guys have been begging for me to put out Dynasty content, and today we are going to do a Dynasty startup mock draft. So I'm going to get 11 of the guys from the Discord. By the way, Discord's completely free. I go there if I want to have people, come join mock drafts with me, come join sleeper leagues with me, come join underdogs with me, or underdog leagues with me, all that good stuff in the Discord, completely free. There's like 400 plus people in there. Link to join the Discord is in the description. With that being said, we're going to hop into this. It's going to be a 10-round Superflex Dynasty mock draft with tight end premium. We're going to have 10 rounds, like I said, going to be completely live, 60 seconds per pick. Just going to be a fun time for me to kind of talk about where I value players. It's also going to be a nice litmus test for the Dynasty rankings. I did Dynasty rankings a couple weeks ago. We're going to use that today. I'm not going to go strictly off them and just kind of see how they feel in a real draft since it's been so long since I've been in a startup. I haven't been in a startup draft since the summer. I probably won't be in a startup draft like a real one until probably a couple weeks or a couple, months from now. With all that being said, I'm going to invite the boys from the Discord into this draft. We're going to start this up once it's full. As always, subscribe if you're new. Leave a like. Let's go.
Thirsty, trying to choose. I know I'm critical. My nitty bag.
And we are full, fellas. Let me switch this into the optimal camera spot. I put myself down here, so I'm blocking the player's stats and projections, but why would you care about that? Now, we're going to randomize this draft order. Draft settings, draft order, bang. Randomizing that, and we'll start. And we'll start. Boom. Oh, do you guys hear that? Dude, it's wild, man. We haven't done a Dynasty draft in forever. I also saw on Keep Trade Cut that the 101, or the consensus 101, according to Keep Trade Cut, is now Justin Herbert. And don't get me wrong, Justin Herbert has been great. He's playing out of his goddamn mind. But for me to put him at the 101 ahead of, I think we're kind of getting Mahomes fatigue here. And this is one of the rare times I can actually talk about Mahomes because he's always a very boring topic in the offseason. He's the consensus 101. Mahomes is our generation's, I don't know who I would compare him to. I wouldn't say Tom Brady because he's better, not better than Tom Brady, but at this point in his career, I don't think Tom Brady was even a starter, if that makes sense. Mahomes is on a I guess kind of Brett Favre, Peyton Manning type trajectory where he just keeps throwing. He keeps having insane, seasons. He's in the mix for MVP every single year. Now, before we get any further, we're at the 110 spot. Here is the roster. We have a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 wide receiver, or 2 flexes, and a super flex spot. Now, 105. I guess I would say 105 feels low for Josh Allen because I do remember in the offseason when he went around here. Has he had a bad enough season for this to be kind of justified? Okay, so now this is kind of where this camera setup is a little bit of a problem. But I mean, he's the number 1 quarterback right now in the NFL. I mean, if you had Josh Allen here, you should probably stick that way. Also, I'm going to be kind of crossing these players off on the rankings just to kind of get a feel for what's going on here. Just to kind of see, where I'm at this current point in time. Now, I realized I already fucked things up. I crossed off Lamar Jackson on accident. So let's just start him as my next guy up. I think Lamar, just because of the rushing upside, he's been great. I'd put him there. I think the only other guys in my tier 1, so my tier 1 is Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase, and Dak Prescott. I would take over anybody else that's available on the board. Also, the guys who are listed here, this is like redraft ADP. So that's when it gets kind of tough. Some things will get a little bit screwed up because you'll have guys like Jamar Chase and J.K. Dobbins and Calvin Ridley really, really hidden down the board. I don't know what ADP they're using here for these lists, but that is what we're working with. There was also a really brief stretch of time where I had Justin Jefferson as my wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase, but obviously, Justin Jefferson's just been so great this year. You have to put him at wide receiver 1 at this point. He's only a year older than Jamar Chase, and Chase is kind of stalled out here, which sucks. I have him on a lot of redraft teams and was hoping that he would kind of bring me to the promised land. It hasn't panned out that way yet. I'm hoping he has a strong 2 games. Wow, CeeDee Lamb at the 108, guys. We're doing CeeDee Lamb at the 108. That's a little bit rich for me, fellas. I'll just say that much. That's a little bit rich for me. I don't think I could do that. Now, I will say, I feel very weird about Dak. Okay, so he takes Dak. I was going to say, so this is very easily Jamar Chase for me. Jamar Chase is just an amazing building block. Like, he's so insulated. He's a rookie. He's already, like, he hasn't even budged from wide receiver. He was at wide receiver 1 for a little bit. On keep trade cut, he went down to wide receiver 2. He hasn't been good since like week 7, and he hasn't budged at all. That's how insulated his value is. He's already shown enough to be a top 3 dynasty wide receiver. He's a rookie. He's attached to Joe Burrow. I believe in the talent heavily. I think you can make a case that next year in redraft that I wouldn't even scoff at you if you wanted to take Jamar Chase around the 110 in a redraft league next year. Like, I think that's how we should have been treating Justin Jefferson. And I know that that's like a little bit of hindsight bias and stuff like that, but if it wasn't for ADP, man, I would have been down to put Jefferson in this range in redraft. And if you wanted to, I think now you can start making the case where, I mean, for me, after the big 3, after Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Jefferson, and Kupp, I meant, not Coop, jeez. You can make the case for him. All right, so Burrow goes. You said Tyreek goes. This is an interesting spot. So Kittle goes. This is an interesting spot for like a Kyle Pitts as well. It's a very interesting spot for somebody like a Kyle Pitts if somebody wanted to do that. I think I'm looking at Pitts. I'm looking at Swift, McCaffrey. Man. So he goes Swift, which sucks because I wanted Swift. Now this is going to feel like a weird pick, but in tight end premium, and just because of the way I started this, like I'm down to do this. Man, I'm really saying straight up. Man, I can't say straight up that I'd rather have Pitts over McCaffrey. Wish I could, but I can't. This has to be McCaffrey for me. Oh, this doesn't feel great. I'm going McCaffrey. It's the right pick there. It's the right pick when people are taking quarterbacks and stuff. I know I would love to go quarterback early, but I think if you're picking at the back end of the draft, it's just never. Not that it's never a great idea. It's just not. You don't want to force yourself to take quarterback just because you think you'll be at like a disadvantage and stuff. The one team I have in Dynasty that's like making a run here, my quarterbacks are Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, Cam Newton, and like Andy Dalton, I think. So there goes Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a guy that I maybe, that's close for me. But that's actually really interesting because like when I just sit down and make these rankings, this is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do this is because like when you're actually on the clock, you have to make these picks. It's interesting. I also was debating Justin Fields here as well. I think Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Pitts, and McCaffrey are all, very solid picks there. Like, it's tough. It's tough for me to say I would rather have McCaffrey over Kyle Pitts. I might literally put that out as a Twitter poll right now. I'll let you guys know what the results are later. I'd be interested to see what that is. Let me know what you guys think between those two, because to me it's pretty close. Between Pitts and McCaffrey, it's very close. I have them in the same tier. So Lawrence goes. I think that's a little bit early for Gibson. I loved Gibson, man, going into the year. Kind of cooled off on Gibson. Yeah, I have him as my 41st ranked player. I think that he has salvaged some value here down the stretch again. These were made after week 13, so there are some things you have to take into account. Now here we have Saquon up next. I have Saquon as my next ranked player. It's going to be a game of chicken between who even wants to take Saquon at this point. I also think that A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf are screaming values here. I think Justin Fields is a screaming value here. Maybe not screaming value. Maybe I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, if you will. So Saquon goes. I don't hate that at all. I think that's about where Saquon should go. Saquon, again, in the offseason was going like around here. McCaffrey was going, around here. You're now getting the discount on them. It's not like you're paying the same price from where they fell from. Now, my next ranked player is Russell Wilson. It's been very tough with Russell Wilson recently. I think I would probably put Fields over Russell Wilson in terms of just looking at my quarterbacks. I would put Fields over Russ. Do you put Trey Lance over Russ? I don't think I put Trey Lance over Russ. I think that's probably where I would stick him. So right at 23 is where I would have him. I think I would put Fields here. Wow, so Javonte goes there. Javonte at the 209, that's interesting. I think that sounds about right, though. Javonte at the 209. People are valuing him similar to kind of the Cam Akers, the J.K. Dobbins of last year, those kinds of guys. I think that's fair. Javonte's looked really, really good. I will say, I love Javonte. I really do love him. I do wonder what his upside looks like. Does he have Jonathan Taylor, in his range of outcomes? Because if he's just... Now, again, we talked about this with Jonathan Taylor literally last year, so I'm not saying that this is right. I'm just saying that this is like a conversation that people, at this point do have, at this point in time. Would you put Javonte, does Javonte Williams have the upside to ever have a legendary running back season? I'd say probably, right? It's hard for me to visualize it a little bit, though. I will say it's been really nice seeing his receiving production this year. I'll have to dig into it a little bit more. Wow, so Kelsey at the 212. So Brendan is fresh is going all in this year. I don't think you can take Kelsey at the 212 at this point. I know it's tight end premium. I know all that. That's just really tough for me. With, he's so old that it's not that he's not going to produce. I'm not saying that at all. He's going to produce. Or at least I think he will produce. But for me with Travis Kelce, it's very tough to put him there and, say that his value will be insulated, right? Now he's at a point in his career, everyone is like, no one wants to pay the price for Travis Kelce at this point. There's also some guys I'm really eyeing down here at the 310. I would love any of these players. I had the 310. I'm also very, this is also probably because they're my Discord members, or most of them are my Discord members or my followers, but Najee Harris hasn't gone off the board in the third round at this point. Just pretty wild. But I would love Russell Wilson, A.J. Brown, Najee Harris, I would love. Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, I would love at the 310. Those are all great options. I'm actually surprised that Najee Harris hasn't gone off the board yet, with Javonte at the 209 as well. Also, what do we think about DJ Moore over Metcalf and Cooper Kupp? I don't think I would personally do that, especially in the direction of this team of taking Mahomes, Kelsey. If you take Mahomes, Kelsey, then and you're kind of going all in year one, then at that point in time you just take Kupp. That's my opinion. I'm also starting to warm up to the idea of, I know I had the draft last time where I came out here and I was like, or not the draft last time, but the draft that we did where it was a 2022 best ball draft where I talked about I talked about how I think I would probably take Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, then Cooper Kupp. I'm kind of warming up to the idea that I'm cool with taking Cooper Kupp as high as wide receiver 1 at this point. What he did last night is insane. He's going to break records this year, and I don't understand. I mean, now he's gonna be 29 next year, same age as Devontae Adams. I don't know why it would slow down really. If Stafford is healthy, you know what I mean. I don't see why they would just go away from Kupp. He has a really high floor. His ceiling is insane. I know that I think the problem with Cooper Kupp, and I fall victim to this as well, just how I think about it in my head, but at the end of the day, he looks like a white slot receiver. So he kind of gives off that vibe of a Julian Edelman, Cole Beasley, Wes Welker, of these guys that can't be, league winners, but they can just be solid wide receivers in the NFL. And I think that's kind of the problem, just in terms of his perception. Now, if you want to make the value argument that, his value will never get anything crazy, that's completely fair. All right, so A.J. Brown goes. I'm trying to find J.K. Dobbins on my on my list. But you know what I mean? I think because of that, you kind of hold him back. But when you just look at what he did this year and how often, how efficient the Rams passing game is and how good, damn, Russell Wilson, that's who I wanted. Man, I wanted Russ. So now there's really no good quarterbacks left. There is Jalen Hurts. Man, do we hate a Jalen Hurts pick here? I can take Jalen Hurts, and then I think the problem is that there's one last wide receiver in a tier of his own at this point, and I think for that reason I'm going to be taking that wide receiver, which is, where is he? Which is Deebo Samuel if I can find him, unless if he's gotten taken at this point. Yeah, so we'll take Deebo. That feels really weird taking Deebo Samuel at the 310, but I have no reason not to. I take him over Kamara. I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm souring on Kamara at this point. He really, Mark Ingram took touches from him last week. He's an aging asset. I really don't want to have. If I have McCaffrey, I don't want to take on any more. And I know it's a startup and you can trade players away and you just want to trade for value. But Kamara, an older running back in Dynasty is just, it's most often not a great investment of assets. Damn, Jalen Hurts goes right there. I would have loved to have, if I could have had Jalen Hurts on the turn here, that would have been great. Damn, that sucks. So Deontay Johnson and T. Higgins, those are really nice wide receivers to pair together. I would have liked the T. Higgins. I will say, man, I would have liked a Jalen Hurts. Now we're just really skipping out on quarterback at this point, which sucks. I hate it when I have to do this. But it's kind of just what has to happen sometimes. Like, sometimes you just can't force it. So then he goes to Deshaun Watson there. That's very interesting. So now I'm staring in the eye. Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, and Jalen Waddle. I think those are all very interesting guys here. I think Dalvin Cook is also very interesting. I think I am leaning. If I was to lean one way, let me take Debo's name out of here. Man, Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Waddle are all very close for me. We already did. I think, why not? I'm kind of saying, why not Waddle, dude? Oh, geez. Now it's getting very close. Why not Waddle? Why not? Let's get a very nice core of wide receivers here. Again, this is a spot where we can't trade. I know Waddle over Dalvin Cook, Eckler, and Kamara seems very weird there, or very odd. His value is a lot more insulated, if that makes sense. We're already taking on a lot of risk with McCaffrey. If you take on, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Akers, Kamara, Eckler, when you start stacking up old aging running, like, I don't mind stacking up running backs like this, Taylor, Javonte Williams, but if you start stacking on running backs like McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Eckler, or stuff like that, you kind of force yourself into winning now. Those players have a shorter shelf life, and on top of that, they've been getting hurt at a super high rate. Like, I at no point in time do I want to be holding on to. I want to be holding on to I want most of my team to be running backs, but I want most of my team, of those running backs, I want most of them to be either young up-and-coming running backs like Javonte Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Gibsons, Dobbins, Akers, or I want them to be handcuffs. Devontae Booker, guys last year you could have gotten were like, I'm trying to think, Leonard Fournette, Tony Pollard's, A.J. Dillon's, even the handcuff guys. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Guys like, not maybe James Robinson too, once, the news kind of came out that, or Darrell Henderson's you could get for cheap. You could get Cordarrelle Patterson's. You could get, just guys that, how am I trying to say this? You want to have a lot of those guys on your team. I get that. I guess that's like the easiest way I could put that. So Mixon goes, Ridley goes. Ridley going is interesting there. Where do I have Ridley at this point? I have him low. I think I got to move Ridley high. I have Ridley at 72nd right now. He's probably got to be higher than that. So Dalvin Cook goes, Chubb goes. I think the fact that Eckler hasn't gone is pretty interesting as well. Chubb goes, Stafford goes. I will say these mocks are kind of just nice to see, like kind of where values are at currently. I will say though, like this isn't how I would build a team normally in a startup. I'm like without trades, startup mock drafts are almost pointless in terms of getting practice in, because I would never sit at the 110 and then just let the draft ride out like this unless it's like things just aren't going well for me. Nobody wants to trade, that kind of situation. Where do I even have Derrick Henry in the ranks? 69th. Nice. Man, is there any chance that Eckler makes it back to us? I will say I'm sad that Stafford didn't make it back. I don't think that he would make it back in the 5th, but we're looking at, Waller hasn't gone off the board yet, which is very weird. I like Eckler. Aaron Jones is becoming a tough asset to invest in. I'll be honest there. I think Hopkins is interesting. Hollywood Brown is interesting. Eckler is at the top of my board. Then I like me some Zach. If I can get Zach Wilson here, I would love that. Yes, I'm still a believer in Zach Wilson. I don't hate Zach Wilson at all. If you're giving Trevor Lawrence the benefit of the doubt, then you should probably be giving Zach Wilson the benefit of the doubt. I still think that the jury isn't out on him. I have him as like a top 15 dynasty quarterback at this point. I have him at 46. So what's that? The 410? So Godwin goes. I'm not really sure where I would value Godwin now with the ACL, because that's gonna affect him next season. That's going to go into next season. I'm trying to figure out how low I should. We'll put this. I think I'm gonna leave it up at the top until we get to round 6. Then I'll start doing something with it. But we have Aaron Rodgers go, which sounds about right. The only reason I'm cool with waiting on quarterback, man, is just because you can get these guys like Kirk Cousins and Tom Brady, and the Matt Ryans of the world, the Ryan Tannehills of the world, that are going to be like more than fine production, and you can stack up elsewhere. You can get the advantages of the other positions, like a McCaffrey. It's not always ideal. Like in these leagues, you do want to have at least like one stud quarterback, but sometimes it just doesn't go your way. I didn't want to take Lawrence or Fields ahead of McCaffrey. I didn't want to take Hurts ahead of Debo, even though I probably should have. If I take him here, I think that Debo probably goes here though. I really wanted a way. See, that's where I would have traded up, because I had Hurts and Debo Samuel as a tier above. I would have probably squatted on this pick and done everything in my power to get from 403 to 311. But just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. It's also very weird for me to take Waddle here, just because I'm not the biggest Waddle truther, but I have him in a spot where, I'm cool with taking him there. All right, so we have Aaron Jones off the board. Man, I'm slacking a little bit with updating this. We have Devonta Smith gone. Aaron Rodgers already took off. Marquise Brown, Devonta Smith gone. Aaron Jones gone. Anybody I'm missing? Aaron Jones, Marquise Brown, Devonta Smith? No. We are getting to a point. It's kind of shocking that TJ Hawkinson and Waller are still available. I'm looking at Wilson. I'm looking at Hawk. I'm looking at Waller. Looking at D-Hop. Marquise Brown is gone. I would have liked a Marquise Brown. That would have been fun. Looking at Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman. The Akers go. Yeah. Man, Ezekiel Elliott. Geez. Hate to see that. Ooh, Brandon Ayuk's are still available. I'm also, I think that what people don't understand, in a lot of these dynasty leagues, where most of these dynasty leagues are set up like this, even sometimes more flex spots, right? When you have only 2 running back spots and you have 3 wide receiver spots and you have up to 3 flex spots, you only need to have 2 startable running backs on a weekly basis. I would rather have most of my lineup be wide receivers, especially in these PPR formats. People don't realize that dynasty is really the way that we have these dynasties set up, unless if it's like a 3 running back league. It's catered to the people. It's in your favor to draft more wide receivers. All right, so Ezekiel Elliott's gone. So now this gets tough for me because I'm looking Zach Wilson in the face, looking T.J. Hawkinson and Darren Waller in the face. I think I'm going to take Zach Wilson here. I think this is where I draw the line and say that you guys are this is madness. I'm taking Zach Wilson. So there he is. Look, again, his first season hasn't been amazing, but he's a rookie quarterback. He's young. His weapons haven't been amazing. He's only had a couple games with Elijah Moore. LaFleur won't let him open it up yet. Regardless, I'm very much of the idea that I think, again, you're getting a massive discount on Zach Wilson. Again, Lawrence has played just as bad as Zach Wilson. He is going into 205. Zach Wilson's going into 510. And Lawrence isn't going to have continuity at all. He's going to have a brand new coaching staff who, again, could just be trash. At least with Wilson, I personally believe in Saleh. I believe in Mike LaFleur. I believe that Zach Wilson isn't complete garbage. 510, you're getting a very big discount. I'm also not really sure what we're even building here with Zach Wilson. Maybe he can just be our QB2 and we can kind of do a more, win now type quarterback in the second spot, like a Kirk Cousins or something among those lines. Wow, Michael Thomas here. That's interesting. I also will be interested to look back at kind of how these picks went when I update these rankings, because this is a really nice, kind of an accurate portrayal of what ADP is at this point. All right, so we'll get to this spot. So Tua goes. I believe I checked him off. Yeah, so Tua's gone. Michael Thomas is gone, which is interesting. So Michael Thomas gone, Tua is gone, and then Mike Evans is gone. D-Hop gone yet? No. So D-Hop is very interesting. I think Hawkinson and Waller are really interesting in a tight end premium. It gets very close for me. I think with this build, with it being kind of young, I think Hawk probably makes the most sense for me. So he goes Ayuk. I think Ayuk is a really good pick there as well. Right now, I'm looking between Hawkinson, Waller, Hopkins, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, and Kirk Cousins. Those are pretty much who I'm looking at here. I think Hopkins is interesting. I don't think this is a team that really needs a Hopkins, though. Hawkinson, Darren Waller, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman could be fun. Sophomore breakout type guys, but they could just be... I feel like the market hasn't really corrected on either of those guys yet. I will say... I'm going to go Hawkinson. Yeah, we'll go Hawk. Yeah, we have to. It was too deep for me to really contemplate anything, but I want to look at his age. Yeah, 24, fine. I think Hawkinson in a tight end, Hawkinson at the 603 in a tight end premium league, it feels wild to me. I don't know. I'm gonna check up on that McCaffrey poll. Yeah, so it's 65% Kyle Pitts, 35% McCaffrey with 100 votes. That sounds about right. So we have Amari Cooper. I will say I might even run a poll on Hawkinson versus Waller versus Elijah Moore. What people would prefer in a dynasty. Wow, I'm shocked to see Judy ahead of... I don't see how you can justify picking Judy ahead of Elijah Moore and Rashad Bateman. There's similar bets to Judy a year ago, and neither of them fell on their face in year two. The market really does love them some Jerry Jeudy. His value should have maybe I'm doing him dirty, but what has he done this year? I guess he's doing all right. He's I guess 14, 13, 14, 13, 11, 13. Are these projections, or are these what he's actually scoring? Oh no, those are his projections. In PPR, yeah, he hasn't. Since he's come back from injury, he's scored 7.9, 12.9, 10.1, 4.5, 11.7, 9.7. I don't know. I just have a hard time. I think that he's fine. I don't mind it in this range, but I don't see the appeal over Elijah Moore or Rashad Bateman. Maybe over Rashad Bateman, but I don't see it over Elijah Moore. Yeah, so Elijah Moore and Rashad Bateman gone, as they should be. Wow, Lockett over DeAndre Hopkins is interesting to me. I don't have Lockett up yet, but it makes some sense. So Lockett goes, Bateman, Elijah Moore. I really do think, like what I was saying earlier with, you know, almost taking them over Hawkinson. Elijah Moore, like last year we had T. Higgins and Ayuk were those guys that felt like Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, of these like sophomore wide receivers that a lot of people loved. And maybe that's Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle, but this time last year, if you were drafting Ayuk or T. Higgins, it had to be, or in my leagues at least, it had to be in this area. So getting, you know, an Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman discount up here, that does feel like a discount because this is where like Chase Claypool was going. I think that they both, I guess, I would say Elijah Moore through 2 years is probably better than where Chase Claypool was at that point. I'll also say if Goddard is getting taken this high, then I feel pretty good about my my TJ Hawkinson pick in that same exact round. Let me move this a little bit farther down for you guys. We'll move here. Unless should I keep the whole board up? If I kept the whole board up, probably have to move like this chart down or whatever. All right, so Goddard is gone. Yeah, people in chat are saying this group hates RBs, and that's just kind of the Ron Stewart experience. The thing is, though, RBs have hurt all of us this year, man. They've hurt everybody this year. Like, the last thing I want to do in Dynasty when we're holding on to these players for life, when running backs have such a short shelf life and they get hurt so often and they can cost you. I know the wide receivers are getting hurt as well. I know that. I 100% understand. They're not as fragile. They're not getting hurt at the same rate. Running backs are getting hurt more often, more severe than wide receivers. That is just a fact. And the second part of that, I don't want to have most of my team's value comprised of that. I think that these formats of 2 running backs, but then you can play 2 running backs and 6 wide receivers on any given day. It incentivizes you to go away from running backs, especially, you know, we saw this year. You could have had like Fournette and James Robinson good to go at running back spots, and you play, you know, you could have had like Kupp, Debo, all these guys that you don't have to spend, you know, premium picks on. You can just hoard 10 really solid wide receivers and hope that you hit a couple of the right ping pong balls is really all it comes down to. A.J. Dillon there, that's very interesting. Trying to think. This is 100% a Ron Stewart mock draft. The fact that Michael Pittman hasn't gone yet is kind of hilarious. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gone. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm eyeing down Kirk Cousins. I'm eyeing down Mac Jones, which I hate. I'm never a Mac Jones guy, but damn, Kirk goes. I would have loved to have Kirk Cousins. How funny is it going to be if I take Mac Jones here? I don't even like Mac Jones, but I mean, like in the 7th round, Mac Jones is like a fine pick in my opinion. Like for somebody that hates Mac Jones too. Like I don't like him at all. I actually just recorded last night. I actually recorded a trade target video last night where I said to sell Mac Jones, but that's because in most leagues he'll go in this range. The 7-10, that's value to me. I have him at my 66th ranked player, which is what? 5 times 12 is 60, so that's 512. So I have him as my 606. So like the 7-10 is pretty crazy for Mac Jones. Like I'll take that. Trying to see where Keep Trade Cut has Mac Jones. So Miles Sanders goes. Tannehill goes. A lot of disrespect on Mac Jones's name. So Tannehill goes. Miles Sanders goes. Has somebody like Josh Jacobs gone yet? So Michael Pittman. I think that's actually a fine spot to take Michael Pittman. He was my next highest ranked wide receiver. Now, I hate to do this, but our next highest ranked player is Mac Jones, McCorkle. And you guys know I don't even like him in Dynasty, but in the 7th round, I'll take Mac Jones there all day long. Like, that's completely fine for me. I like that. So now I have Brady. My next highest ranked players are Brady, Jacobs, Rondale Moore. I don't want Jacobs. Rondale Moore's like, I'm actually kind of souring on Rondale Moore. Man, I don't love a lot of, man, it gets ugly here. It gets really ugly here. I'll say that. There's for sure a tier break. I will say if Brady makes it back to me, I'd even debate taking Brady. I would even debate taking Brady. So we still do need another running back. I don't really like any of the running backs in this range. Maybe Josh Jacobs makes some sense. I really don't know about all that, though. I kind of would just rather string together some pieces later on. So J.K. Hogue is really taking this to the last second here. So he takes Sutton. Yeah, this is a really tough spot to pick in. Once you get to this range, I do not like this one bit. Brady, Josh Jacobs, Rondale Moore. So then he takes Brady. I would have been down to take Brady. So now we have Josh Jacobs, Rondale Moore, Elijah Mitchell. He takes Freiermuth. Do we take Elijah Mitchell in the 8th round? I don't like that at all, if I'm being completely honest. I'm good on Elijah Mitchell. I think it comes down to Josh Jacobs and Rondale Moore, which is pretty close for me. I mean, Josh Jacobs in the 8th round. Man, I'd say why not? Why not Josh Jacobs in the 8th round? Fine, whatever. Do I love it at all? Not really, but just kind of what has to happen in that range. I'm pretty shocked to see Rondale Moore still not taken, but like it makes sense. Like I myself am like I could have taken Rondale Moore there. I had him in the same tier as Josh Jacobs. Rondale Moore's just tough for me. Like there's no longer DeAndre Hopkins, and like the coach still doesn't really care that much. Or I mean, I guess Cliff Kingsbury's kind of an idiot, but it's just concerning for me. I do think Elijah Mitchell was interesting there, but I don't think I can put Elijah Mitchell ahead of Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs locked into as an RB2, you don't really want to pay a premium for an RB2, but we're getting to a point in the 8th round where at that point we're paying cheap for an RB2. This is where you could have gotten like Ronald Jones last year. So I'd do that all day. Maybe him. So Odell Beckham goes off the board. I actually like that pick a lot. Now, this needs to get updated at this point, but the next guys on my list are Rondale, Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell's tough for me. If Elijah Mitchell wasn't hurt right now, I would have him. I would have taken him over Josh Jacobs, but it's hard for me to value him over Josh Jacobs. There's a lot of uncertainty around the 49ers. He could get, what do they call it, Trey Mason, where they go out there, they draft another running back. Those day 3 picks, man, their job security is 0. It's very hard to trust those guys. Now, DJ Chark there just feels... I have to really scroll down to get to DJ Chark. Yeah, geez. DJ Chark over Rondale Moore feels like a mistake, but that's just me. All right, so Rondale Moore goes. I think Rondale Moore was like the last... I mean, actually, I have another guy that feels like a Rondale Moore, which is Kadarius Toney. I would actually be debating Kadarius Toney in this area. I think Kadarius Toney is interesting. I think Baker Mayfield is interesting in this range. Man, this is kind of an ugly part of the draft in terms of just value-wise. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, yeah, so there's Elijah Mitchell. That sounds about right. I can't say I love my team from an aesthetic standpoint. It doesn't look the prettiest, but I do like having, Debo, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, all pretty high upside wide receivers. Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, very weird quarterback group there. Probably would like to get one more, solid quarterback. Like if I could get, problem is I would have loved to have Kirk or Brady, but they're gone. We have Baker, Daniel Jones. I will say Derek Carr or Carson Wentz would be fun here, though. Mike Williams goes. Mike Williams is a very tough one for me. I think this is the tier he should go. But I have on my rankings I would prefer Kadarius Toney, Mooney, Gallup, Cooks, Thielen, Robert Woods, Allen Robinson. Then I would go Mike Williams. But problem is, I think that his like new role or whatever, like from the beginning of the year, was just all a fluke. If I'm being completely honest, it's a fluke. So I doubt, like, he's just a boom bust wide receiver 3 until the end of time. But I mean, I guess that's kind of what you're buying here. I don't hate that Allen Robinson at all. I think Leonard Fournette takes a pretty big hit in Dynasty after that injury he had. I don't feel great about him. I know it's not a major injury or anything. He should be back for the playoffs or whatever. So I mean, I guess in the 8th round he does make some sense. But this is, just how it's a good indicator of just how everybody's really valuing these things. Because there's like a lack of consensus. Like, there is no consensus ADP. Like, you can go to the big sites. I'm not going to list any of their names. You can go to the big sites, look at ADP, but ADP is such a small sample. Like, a lot of those websites maybe do like 10 mocks or 20 mocks. I like Keep Trade Cut, but Keep Trade Cut isn't exactly how it would go in a startup draft. Like me sitting down and writing those rankings, I'll admit, like that's why I wanted to do this, is because sitting down and writing rankings is one thing, but it's another to actually use the sheet and go into a draft. Because that actually, like, that helped me with the Pitts rank. Like, I'm going to move Pitts up my rankings probably into this range because I can't take Pitts. I think McCaffrey ahead of Pitts is very close, but I think Pitts ahead of Saquon is a foregone conclusion. Pitts ahead of Trevor Lawrence is a foregone conclusion. Pitts ahead of everybody in this range is 100% the move. I think Pitts versus Joe Burrow is very tough for me as well. I think Burrow will be getting an update. I'm probably going to update the Dynasty rankings. That'll be on the Patreon, patreon.com/RonStewart in the description, down below in the comments. I'll probably, or maybe not even in the comments, but I'll put that, I'll probably update them like week 18. I'll probably update them after the week 17. After the season, like after the fantasy season concludes. And then I'll do another one after the Super Bowl. I think that'll be good. Robert Woods, gone. Kadarius Toney, gone. This is the range I would actually really like to have Kadarius Toney. Mike Gesicki, gone. I had a quite like this. Do we think Daniel Jones like starts for an NFL franchise next season? My guess would be yes. Maybe I'm an idiot, but like I don't think that Daniel Jones is that big of a, like, I don't think he's that bad. I know that's wild to say, but I don't think that he's awful. He also has some pretty good Konami code upside as a quarterback in the NFL. Wow, Juju's very interesting here. So my next highest ranked players are Baker, Daniel Jones, Darnell Mooney, Brandon Cooks, Thielen, Carson Wentz, Gronkowski, Henderson, Pollard, Michael Carter, Kareem Hunt, Cordell Patterson, Ramondre Stevenson. So there goes Darnell Mooney. If this pick gets to me and Baker and Daniel Jones are still on the board, I think I probably just take Baker. I know people are souring on Baker, but I like 9th round in a super flex league. I think you just take Baker there. I would also love to see Cooper Kupp win an MVP. I don't think he will, but like, dude, he's got a slightly compelling case. Come on now. Man. Okay, so Baker goes. I will say if Daniel Jones is there, I think I'm going to take Baker. Or I think I'm going to take Daniel Jones. I guess you could call me a Daniel Jones, like maybe not a Daniel Jones truther, but like I do like me some Daniel Jones. I don't think that he's that bad. I know that that's like, you don't want to say that about you. You don't have to say like he's not that bad, but Superflex, we're now in the 9th round. The other guys we're looking at is like Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff. Like, he is like one of the last guys I actually care about. So I'm gonna take if Daniel Jones is there, we take Daniel Jones. Then we probably wrap around, and then that's when we start hammering. That's when we start hammering off wide receivers, or not hammering off wide receivers. But we take a couple of wide receivers, and then in a real draft, this only goes 10 rounds. In a real draft, we would hammer running backs. Like, we'd start hammering, Alexander Madison, Chuba Hubbard, Khalil Herbert, Kenneth Gainwell. We want to have. I'm telling you guys, if you have a dynasty league that has like a 20-player roster limit and you only have like 4 running backs, you're doing it wrong. You need to have as many running backs as possible. Like, all those filler wide receivers, like in my opinion, it's not worth rostering guys like, Tyler Johnson, Amari Rodgers, guys like Darius Slayton, Tutu Atwell. Not that you can drop those guys, but you want to trade them away so you can just have these bullets in your chamber. The Devontae Bookers, the Samaje Perines of the world. Even guys like, like I said, Chuba Hubbard, Alexander Madison, running backs even in the higher tier, like who are some of these other guys? Guys that just have outside shots to be RB1s in their backfield as well, like a Ramondre Stevenson. Trying to look at the other ones that I have up here. Ronald Jones is a great one. Jamal Williams, Zach Moss, Trey Sermon, Devin Singletary, all those guys. You want to load up as many of them as possible and just have a roster of guys that you can kind of rotate to if you need to. Or, just guys, because they're deeper leagues, right? Like, in normal leagues, we're going to take Daniel Jones here. We've been talking about this for a million years. But in normal leagues, you only have maybe 15 roster spots, 13 roster spots, something like that. In Dynasty leagues, when you have 20, 25, 30 team roster spots, you can leverage that, own a bunch of handcuffs, and you're bound to hit on them at a much higher rate. Like, in a normal league, maybe you can only roster 3 handcuffs. In a Dynasty, you can roster 10. And at that point, you're the Darrell Williams of the world. The Elijah Mitchell was one of them before the season. Ramondre Stevenson's. If you just have a roster of 10 guys on your bench like that, you're going to hit on somebody. That's why I'm against. That's why I think people in the comments are going to be like, dude, why aren't anybody taking running backs in this draft? It's because of that reason. Michael Carter, Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard. Man, I do like the Ramondre Stevenson pick there. Man, I think Kareem Hunt gets very interesting here. I think Kareem Hunt is really interesting for me. I will say, if I didn't take Josh Jacobs, I would have taken maybe a Kareem Hunt, but I think that I probably would like to take a wide receiver here. If I could, I would take, if Brandon Cooks is available, I'll be taking him. So he takes Carson Wentz. Is Cooks not available? Am I an idiot? Where did someone take Brandon Cooks? Oh, wow. Someone took him a while ago. Someone take Thielen? I don't know how I feel about Thielen. Juju Smith-Schuster, Hunter Renfrow, Julio, Antonio Brown. Maybe we take if I don't love the idea of Adam Thielen. He's old. What is he? 31? He's getting hurt now too and stuff. Do we just take a running back and stack up? Could go Henderson. We could go Kareem Hunt. I don't hate the idea of Kareem Hunt. I'm going to go Kareem Hunt. I don't love it at all, but it's where we are. I will say Kareem Hunt's been getting hurt a lot, but he has an insane amount of upside. Insane amount of upside. If Nick Chubb went down, boom, he's amazing. If he gets traded, goes to a different team, he could be insane. Kareem Hunt, to me, is somebody that could have a Leonard Fournette type rise in 2022 if he goes to the right situation, if things break right for him. Obviously, that can't be on the Browns. I don't know what his contract situation looks like. Let me see. Kareem Hunt, how much is he signed through? How long is he signed through? Does he have an out in his contract? Man, so he's signed through 2022 without an out in his deal. Damn, that sucks. Maybe he gets traded, probably not. But it's tough for me. I would love to see him demand a trade or something. I don't even know if you can do that in the NFL at this point. Damn. So we have Henderson go. We have Juju go. Juju is a really interesting one, man. Juju's a very interesting one because, like, you can see shades of Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen where they had a really good first. Like, they had a good come up. They either got, like, injured or, underperformed, and then they came out on the back half of their career and looked good. Juju could be that, or he could just be someone that flamed out and sucks now. It's really hard to tell for me. So Thielen goes. We were debating Thielen, Henderson, Juju. Matt Ryan goes here. That sounds like about right where Matt Ryan should be going if Wentz is gone. Like, I feel good. If Wentz and Matt Ryan go here, I feel good about getting Daniel Jones here. Like, I have Daniel Jones not by a lot, but I have him ahead of Wentz and Matt Ryan. What else do we got? Henderson's a weird eval to me, but I get Henderson falls under the same umbrella as a Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson, all that, where you're just hoping that Akers you're hoping that Akers gets hurt pretty much. But the problem is with Henderson is Akers got hurt, and this guy lost his job to Sony Michel. So it's very hard for me to tell if Darrell Henderson is #good at football at this point because he couldn't, hold off Sony Michel for an entire season. Like, it's you can pretty much write off Darrell Henderson as not that good of a running back in Dynasty or in general, I guess. So Connor goes, Antonio Brown goes, Knox goes, Julio goes at the 10-12, and that is going to do it for this. I'll put it up to the top for you guys in case anybody wants to kind of see a little bit of a recap, but that is going to do it for us today, fellas. The team is not amazing. Like, again, these are fun just to kind of see where player values are, but again, like, I'm always trading in startups. I would never just sit at the 110 and pick players throughout because I'm doing one of two things. I'm either trading back to the point where I'm just scrapping everything, rebuilding, playing for the next year, or I'm going all in to the point where I have no rookie first round picks. Now, that's a little bit extreme, but I'm of the idea that you either need to be first or last. And when you take that philosophy into the startup, you end up doing one of two things. Again, there's some scenarios where maybe you want to build a balanced lineup and you can accrue value and you can kind of work from there. But again, if I'm trading around in a startup, I like to do one of those two things. As always, I love you guys. This is going to be the end of the video. Make sure you go down below, subscribe if you're new, leave a like if you want access to all my Dynasty rankings, all my Dynasty content. That is all on the Patreon with my seasonal content, all for literally $5 in the description. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
I got the juice, I got the juice. 10-0, Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena from Mr. Meaner.